Hey, thank you so much for being with us today on our Missions Emphasis Day. My name is Scott Hildreth. I'm the director of the Center for Great Commission Studies at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Dr. Greg Mathias. Dr. Mathias is our assistant director of the Center for Great Commission Studies. One of the things that we're going to do today is we want to give you an opportunity to hear from some of our students who are serving around the world in different contexts and really asking questions about how the coronavirus pandemic has influenced their community and also given them some shape for the way that they've done their missionary work. And right now, we have Daniel and Tara Rice. Daniel, Tara, thanks for being with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Man, we're so glad you guys are here. Can you take just a minute and tell those people who are watching where you are and kind of a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, so we're coming to you right now from Tokyo, Japan, and we're wrapping up a ISC 2+ term here in Tokyo. And the big theme of our term has been the Olympics. And obviously, that's our story.
Yeah, we've been pretty impacted by the coronavirus pandemic with our ministry plans, because that was the focus of our work for probably the last year and a half or so. So yeah, it's been a year.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit more related to the pandemic and COVID. Tell us how that's impacted your community, where you guys live. What have you seen over the last 5 or 6 months in your part of the world?
Yeah, so Japan is an interesting contradiction in a lot of ways, where you have, modern tech staring tradition and the way we've always done things kind of mentality in the face. And because of that has led to a lot of pushing and tearing to some degree in response to this new COVID situation. And so for a lot of people, they had to figure out how to get creative and do the technology thing at a faster pace than they had ever probably anticipated they'd be thrust into. So one great example of that is the pastors here. Most of them are over the age of 50, more likely over the age of 60. And they've never done a live stream, much less watched one. So so that was actually one area that we were able to jump in and help out with. And some of it was learning along with them, but also just being able to help them navigate. And crazy part is doing it in Japanese, which is just wild.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see just like online communication becoming such a necessity now. Because Japan is notorious for its hardcore work culture of being in the office like 12 hours a day and then going out with your boss to drink and have dinner. And that was every day for people. And so now having a little more free time has been really interesting. There's been good things and really hard things for a lot of people in that realm, and that applies to Christians too. A lot more people are engaging in things like Bible studies and like women's groups and things that they never really had time for, and now they have a little bit more time to do those things. And so that's been really interesting to see God working in that way during this time.
It's forced a lot of the toxicity of social expectations and social rhythms to just not be a possibility. And so, yeah, that's been a positive aspect of things. But we're currently watching these trends develop and change society here right now, and we hope for the better.
Well, I can imagine. So talk to us just a minute. You guys left Wake Forest and you went to Japan for one purpose, and that was to basically get the churches in Japan and then work with Christians coming from all around the world, mobilized to do evangelism during the 2020 Olympics. Obviously, that was postponed. And so how have you found yourself in the last several months being involved in Great Commission activity personally, either with your neighbors, with churches? So talk to us a minute just about some of the things that you have done. Let the folks listening just know how their missionaries are responding to this in a Great Commission way.
Yeah, so one very solid, consistent thing that we've been doing is working with a partner church here in the city. It's Tokyo Baptist Church. It's actually a Southern Baptist church, which is really cool. I recently joined the Hawaii Pacific Baptist Convention. And so that's just a neat treat for us to be able to work with an actual SBC church in our neighborhood. And what that looks like, the really consistent thing for us has been deeply diving into prayer and mutual encouragement through this process. And so on Tuesday mornings, we join the staff in their morning devotion. And we've led morning devotions as well for that. And then we break up into prayer groups. And we spend a good hour or more doing that every Tuesday. And then on Friday afternoons after lunch, the pastor hosts a prayer time for, it's kind of an open-ended, anyone who wants to come and join, but it's still very much more the staff that's showing up to that. And so that's just been a really sweet and wonderful time to develop that relationship, but also we're doing the Lord's work through prayer in that instance. So that's been really good.
Yeah. And because, like you said, Scott, that our work has been really focused on partnering with believers. We have been building these relationships with pastors and local church leaders. Since the pandemic hit, there weren't a lot of open doors for us to, evangelize because we weren't necessarily focusing on that before the pandemic. And so what we were able to do, though, was like what Daniel had said earlier, helping pastors figure out what to do, because there was no way we could be talking about, oh, what are we going to do for the Olympics next year if they do happen? When these pastors are like, my 70-year-old member doesn't even have internet. How am I going to connect with her? And so we're trying to problem solve with these pastors and just give them some support. Because honestly, it's been really lonely for them and really hard. And so we've been really blessed with those kinds of opportunities of just supporting the local church in like behind the scenes background tech support kind of ways. So yeah, we felt pretty blessed that God is using our particular gifts and abilities with administration and technology and just being a little more up to date on things like live streaming and whatnot to help the local church here during this season.
Man, that's great. We appreciate so much what you guys are doing and obviously the flexibility that you had to put into this. So we just want you to know how much how proud we are of you guys and how much we're praying for you. And we want to thank those of you who are watching as well and encourage you to pray for Daniel and Tara as they wrap up their time and as they find ways to serve in the middle of this pandemic.
Yeah, and so we've seen a snapshot not only of the life that Daniel and Tara lived, the ministry that they have, but the unique opportunities, even because of the pandemic. And so we want to pray for them. Thank you for joining us as we walk through our Missions Emphasis Day. We're going to be putting out more videos where we're going to highlight other ministry in other parts of the world. So please join us and watch those throughout the day today. Thank you again for joining us.